In this video, I'm going to break down how to build your credit from the ground up, or if you already started building your credit, but unfortunately you have a couple of dings and dents on there, I'm going to even showcase to you how to fix those. And then towards the end of the video, I'm actually going to showcase to you how you can leverage credit not only in your personal life, but as well as in your business. So without further ado, let me just quickly explain to you what credit is and how you can leverage it. To give it to you very straight and simple without getting out a dictionary and giving you some type of confusing definition, I'm just going to give you my personal point of view of what credit is. So the way I look at it is credit is basically a way for lenders to tell how well you manage debt or how well you are able to pay back debt. So basically the way that you need to understand credit right now is it's a way for you to leverage your credit score to get loans for a car, loans for a house. You hear people all the time talk about, I can't buy a house because of my credit score. I can't buy a car because of my credit score. I can't afford a car because of my credit score. So the way that I look at it is credit allows you to leverage other people's money. It's a way for you to get a home loan. It's a way for you to get a car loan. And for people that say that you don't need a credit score, I hope you're willing to pay cash for literally everything. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a couple $100,000 just sitting around to pay cash for a house. To sum all this up, you do need credit. You will hear a lot of people say you don't need credit, and that is just not a very wise thing. And also, one really quick thing that I want to say at the beginning of this video before we start breaking down my tips is you do not have to pay interest on leveraging credit cards. Go ahead and get that out of your head right now. I know a lot of people feed you this idea of like, why would I use a credit card when I can just use my debit card and not pay interest? We're going to break down all of that in this video. So let's go ahead and get right into the tip. All right, so let's get right into the meat and potatoes, which is checking your credit. Now, I've heard a theory that every time you check your credit, that it's going to ding your credit and it's going to drop your credit. That is not true, you guys. I know a lot of you guys have probably been told that. That is not true, and we're going to break that down right here, right now. So when you check your credit, there's a lot of resources that you can use, such as Credit Karma, but let's just use that for an example right now. They are basically doing a soft pull on your credit, and this is very important vocabulary that you need to understand from the very beginning. A soft pull does not affect your credit, where a hard pull does. So when you get a soft pull on your credit, it usually does not even show up on your report at all. It's usually used when you are just checking your credit. Maybe you're inquiring about potentially getting a credit card, but you don't know yet. Compared to when you get a hard pull, that means they're actually pulling your credit. That means you're actually getting the credit card. That means you're actually getting the loan. And sometimes if you're just checking to get approved for a credit card, they will sometimes do a hard pull. So it's very important that you understand, or you ask people before maybe looking into something, that you make sure that they are only doing a soft pull and they're not doing a hard pull unless you know for a fact that you're going to go through with the loan. So to sum this up, when you're checking apps or websites such as Credit Karma, that is not affecting your credit. You are allowed to monitor your credit. That is your right. You're allowed to do that, and that's not going to affect your credit negatively. So what you want to do, especially if you're trying to rebuild credit, is look for things that are harming your credit. For my people who are just now starting out and you have no credit cards, no type of debt or anything, you probably don't even have a credit score. You probably don't have anything on there. But for my people who maybe started the credit journey, but maybe they opened up some credit cards, they got into collections or whatever the case may be, you guys need to go through and dig for your report. I know this is very hard. I know you don't want to do it. I know it might stress you out a little bit, but it's good to know what's on your credit report so we know what we're trying to fix. It's not just going to go away within a couple months. You actually need to dig in your credit report, see what's affecting it negatively so we can combat it later. Lastly, for my people who maybe have bad credit and you're trying to figure out how to fix it, you also want to check what are your credit card balances? What is your utilization rate? We're going to break that down further, but for right now, I just need you to write down all the negative things that is affecting your credit negatively, meaning maybe late payments, meaning derogatory marks, if you have anything in collections, if you have a high utilization rate, maybe you have a credit card that's maxed out. I need for you to write all that down. And once you get through writing all that down, we're going to revisit that later, and I'm going to showcase to you how to fix that. So going back to my people who have no credit, you have no idea where to begin, or for my people who are trying to rebuild, this could also be for you. So there's two things that you can do to start actively building credit really quickly. First thing is you can get a secured credit card. A secured credit card is probably the easiest way to go ahead and build credit or even repair credit. This is kind of like the golden rule for everyone. And what a secured credit card is basically you're going to pay the money up front. So let's just say you want a $200 credit limit. You'll go to a credit card company. You would give them $200 up front. They're now going to give you a credit limit for up to $200. Usually after about 3 to 6 months, they will increase your credit limit to maybe, let's just say $600 or maybe even $1,000. And some banks will even reimburse you your initial investment of the $200 back to you. That just honestly depends on what bank you go to. I highly recommend Capital One. This is honestly where I started my credit journey. They're very easy to work with. They also have very beginner-friendly credit cards, and you can kind of work your way up the ladder. There's really good travel rewards cards or just cashback rewards cards. That might be a little too advanced for this video, but basically what I'm stating is it's a very good starting point where you can work your way up the ladder. And before you go off applying for this credit card, there are some rules that you need to follow no matter where you are in your credit card journey. For starters, for your very first credit card, you do not want an annual fee of any type. And that does not matter if you are rebuilding credit or if you're just now starting credit. You do not want your very first credit card to have any type of annual fee. Now, I will explain on that further in the video, but for now, just trust me. The next thing, if you want to avoid paying interest on anything that was charged to your credit card, you will always pay your statement balance. Let me repeat that again, because this is where most people screw up. Never pay the minimum monthly payment. Always pay your statement balance in full every single month. With that said, and where a lot of people mess up is they are not able to manage their credit very well. And this is where the credit score comes into play. If you're not able to manage debt very well, it will showcase very, very quickly. So here's how I manage my debt and pay my credit cards. This might be different for everyone else, but let me just give you my personal story so it's easier for you to understand. So for starters, every 2 weeks, I kind of like to analyze what I've been spending on my credit card, and usually I will make a payment every single 2 weeks. Now that is not required. You're only supposed to actually pay it once a month. This also allows me to track and make sure that I'm on budget for the budget that I set for myself for the month. Now you do have to pay your credit card bill every single month. So I actually pay it twice a month. So every 2 weeks, I like to review it and kind of pay some money up front. Now you can make however many payments you want to, but you have to make sure that you at least pay your minimum monthly balance. But like I said before, you need to be paying your full statement balance every single month to avoid interest. That is a non-negotiable. So in return, what will this actually do for you? So there's two things that's going to happen. A, you're going to have an on-time monthly payment. So every time that you pay your payment on time, whenever it's due, you get an on-time monthly payment. That's going to help boost your credit score. Number two is if you're paying your statement balance in full, they're reporting that you have no debt. So what's happening is you look like a very secure borrower. It looks like you actually manage your money well. You know how to make on-time monthly payment. And overall, if somebody wants to lend someone money, you look like an ideal candidate. So the next thing that you can do is, and it usually happens if you're very, very young, maybe like the age of 18, 19, or 20, is a lot of the times is your parents, they can make you an authorized user on one of their credit cards where they've made all the on-time payments, and essentially all of their on-time payments and their credit history will report to your credit. Now you must understand, if you're going to be the authorized user on someone's credit card, you better make sure they have very good credit history, because if not, essentially anything that they've negatively done on that credit card can also affect you negatively. Now I don't usually like this unless it is your parent or maybe a significant other. I have seen a lot of couples do this before, but in my opinion, if you're going to build credit, just go ahead and build it independently. But like I said, if you can leverage someone else and get that credit boost, then hey, more power to you as long as you trust them. Okay, so circling back around to my people with low credit, but this will also be helpful for my people that's building credit, because you need to know what not to do if you are building credit. So more than likely, if you have bad credit, there's only a couple things that could be going wrong in your credit. For starters, it's more than likely because you have high utilization rate. So what is high utilization rate? So if you remember at the beginning of this video, I specifically said to always pay your statement balance. For my people who do not pay their statement balance and you're carrying balances month after month and you're only paying the minimum payment, you probably have a high utilization rate, which basically means, hey, you are using the credit card, but you're not paying us a lot of money back. You're paying the minimum monthly payment and you are just carrying debt month after month after month. Now let's be real, credit card companies love this because they're charging you a crap ton of interest, which basically means they are making money off of you just carrying your debt and paying the minimum monthly payment. Now in credit world, the only thing that you need to understand from this perspective is you look like a risky borrower. Now why is that? To put it very simple is this basically means that you're probably over leveraging credit. So and when you have personal credit, right, and you're going out and you're using your credit cards maybe for emergencies and you're carrying the balance, it basically showcases that maybe, hey, they don't have a lot of cash on hand. They're utilizing their credits for emergency situations. They're utilizing their credit to buy food, and they probably have no cash on hand, because if you have cash on hand, right, why would you not pay your statement balance in full and kind of avoid paying that interest? This is why you look more like a risky borrower. This is why your credit score is lower, because it showcases that, hey, they're probably low on money. This is why they're utilizing credit cards and carrying the balance. Now, there's nothing wrong with utilizing credit cards. They get the rewards or they keep benefits from the credit card or a lot of the safety benefits that I mentioned earlier. However, when you start carrying a balance, it basically looks like you cannot afford to make the monthly payment, and this is why you look like a risky borrower. So if you can, and if you can pay your balances off in full, you need to start doing that. If you've been just, utilizing credit cards not knowing that this is affecting your credit, now this is the time to fix that. But you are paying so much more money than what you need to pay. And for my people that have collections, it's not a big deal. It's fine. I'm going to explain to you what a collections is and how to fix it. So let's just call it like it is. A collections is basically an account that either A, you just chose not to pay anymore, or B, you just couldn't afford it. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they will then close your account and send it to collections. What can happen is either they can keep in collections and they can keep calling you and hagging you and trying to get you to pay for, or sometimes they will even sell that bill to someone else and then that person will hag you and try to get you to pay for it. I know if you have collections on your account, you've gotten multiple phone calls of them trying to collect some type of payment or whatever the case may be. Now here's the thing about collections. Collections will stay in your credit report for 7 years and it will basically tank your credit. If you do not fix this, it is going to tank your credit. I don't care how many secure credit cards you try to get to basically fix it. You have to get rid of this collections. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now, unless you're gonna wait the 7 years. So in my personal opinion, here's the best way to fix this. You basically want to negotiate in a pay for delete. So yes, you can actually negotiate that balance. I know it sounds crazy. I've had people do it before. I've had friends to do it before. And here's how you actually do it. So all those people that you keep ignoring you, they keep trying to call you and try to collect a payment. What you need to understand is if that balance is in collections, they are willing to actually negotiate with you 9 times out of 10. So what you can say is, let's just say if you owe $1,000, but you're like, hey, I just don't want to pay the $1,000. It is what it is. It's already taking my credit. There are a lot of ways that you can fix this. Either A, you can say, hey, I'll give you $400 in total if you are willing to delete this off my credit report. That's one way you can do do it. Or you can come up with a monthly payment and say, hey, I'll give you $30 a month or $40 a month as long as you delete it off my credit at the end of the final payment cycle. There are a lot of things that you can work out. These people are trying to work with you, and it is in their best interest to collect something from you rather than nothing from you. But what you need to understand is you need to have a guarantee, whether it's the contract or some type of form or something stating that, hey, after you pay either the full balance or after you pay the agreed upon amount that you're willing to pay, that they will actually delete this account off your credit report. This is very important. Make sure that you are actually confirming that they're going to delete it off your credit, because there's a lot of people that will pay collections, and guess what happens? Even though they paid the collections, because they didn't make sure that they agreed to delete it off their credit, even though they paid the balance in full, it is still sitting on their credit. That's why I say it's in your best interest to actually talk to them rather than trying to, pay the balance yourself and you're not actually talking to some type of human. You need to make sure that they are actually going to delete it off your, because if not, and you pay that account in full and you have nothing in writing, they can still keep that on your credit for 7 years. You need something in writing to hold them accountable. Now, lastly, let's talk about some common mistakes that I see a lot of people make. Number one being, do not delete your first credit card. You never ever close your first credit card. Never close that account. Never allow it to be closed. And this is why I said at the very beginning of the video to make sure that your very first credit card does not have any type of annual fee, because you will basically be stuck with that credit card for the rest of your life. Now, the main reason why you do not want to close down your very first credit card is because there is a small percentage of your credit score that is based on your oldest account. So essentially, let's just say if you had your very first credit card for, let's just say 5 years, and you have a new credit card and you're thinking like, hey, my new credit card is so much better, I don't need that old credit card. Once you close that account down, they're no longer going to acknowledge that credit history that you built that credit card. So once you shut that down, it's going to look as if your credit history is now starting all over again. So you never want to close that account down at all. So if you have, let's just say 5 years of experience in that credit card, you need to keep it. It's almost essentially like your resume, right? You never want gaps in your resume. You want it to show a story of where you started to where you're at now. So never close down your very, very first credit card. So the next mistake that I see people doing is over applying for credit cards. You remember earlier when I was discussing soft pull versus hard pull? Every single time that you open up a new credit card or you apply for a credit card, 9 times out of 10, they are doing a hard pull on your credit. And as I told you earlier, that is usually affecting your credit negatively. Now, there are a couple credit card companies that will allow you to do a soft pull just to see if you're pre-approved, but that is a soft pull. But if you decide to go forward and you're like, hey, yeah, I want this credit card, they are going to do a hard pull on your credit. Now, trust me, I love to leverage that soft pull feature just to make sure I'm going to get approved for a credit card. But just remember that even though you're doing the soft pull just to see if you can get approved, even if they say like, yeah, you're pre-approved, you're good to go, they're still going to do the hard pull on your credit. So that's what you need to understand. So basically, what I'm saying is don't try to get a credit card every single month. More than likely, not only are you not going to get approved anyways, but you're just going to have a crap ton of hard pull inquiries on your credit. Now, the last 2 common mistakes that I see often, which I feel like go hand in hand, is paying interest on credit cards as well as just maxing out your credit cards. These are just 2 big no-nos. These are the 2 things that you can do if you really want to showcase to the bank that they should not loan you any money going forward. So of course, the best way to avoid this is pay your statement balance in full every single month. You'll never have to worry about paying interest. And if you can, just mimic what I already do, which is review your finances every 2 weeks and never spend money that you don't have in the first place on a credit card. And if you follow all these steps, you will begin to see that building credit is actually very, very easy. So here are my final tips. Your goal is to get to the point where you can start getting the reward credit cards. This is going to be your cash back or your travel rewards, which I know a lot of you guys probably hear about. These are the credit cards that are going to pay you just to basically have the credit card. Now, once you are a savvy spender and you really learn about credit cards and you really learn how to build credit, you will begin to learn how to leverage credit cards to essentially make you money. As a real estate investor, I have been able to leverage not only credit cards, but my credit score to make a lot of deals happen. There are a lot of benefits to credit cards, not only for the protection features. There are cashback credit cards, there's travel reward credit cards, there's credit cards that basically have 0% APR, which means you're paying no interest for a year. The amount of investors that I know that are able to get business funding with literally no interest, they could literally start up a whole entire business and leverage credit cards and leverage all these different benefits just because they took their personal credit score serious. There are so many people who want to start businesses, but when you're starting a business, there's something called a personal guarantee, which basically means that you leverage your personal credit to kind of start up your business and you kind of co-sign for your business. And then eventually your business will be able to stand on its own 2 feet and have its own credit. But a lot of the times, a lot of people do not want to give their personal guarantee because they have crappy personal credit. When I tell you that your personal credit is very important, you guys, it is very important. If you ever want to start a business, if you ever want to buy a car, if you ever want to buy a house, a lot of the time, yes, it would be lovely to pay cash for all these things, but a lot of people are not able to do it. So with all that being said, if you like to talk about wealth building or just investing in real estate, you should definitely consider subscribing because I make videos like this all the time, and I will see you guys in the next video.